All right, man. Guess what it is today? It's my team in the playoffs for baseball. Yours is not. Let's get loaded. And with that, welcome to the Loaded Box Podcast.
We never finish first because we finish last.
This is the Loaded Box Podcast. I am Ben Morgan. That is DJ Primo. DJ, go ahead and tell me what you were going to say. I like that better.
Oh, I was just going to say, I know you're all excited about watching this stupid baseball game that I've never ever heard you talk about. But even when we get done with this podcast, there's still going to be 3 hours left to go in the game. So you're going to see the whole game.
The beauty of baseball, it's already the first inning. Yeah, when we're done with this, it'll be the third inning. I'll be set.
Yeah.
Yes.
Be good to go.
This is the NFL Week 5 preview podcast. We're talking daily fantasy sports, bargains, stacks, picks, listener fantasy football questions, and most importantly, against the spread gambling picks. Before we get to those, DJ, I got to ask you, you lost your first game of the year last week. You looked at the schedule before doing this to prep a little bit. What are your feelings? How are you feeling going into this with an 11-1 record?
I feel great. I've got a new little strategy going into the next 3 weeks. One team I'm going to fade for 3 weeks here. I'm going to ride one team, I think, for a little bit here. So I'm feeling very confident. I think my new thing is just develop a couple of strategies and go with it. So
nice.
I'm going to win at least 2. Your
fading strategy worked out brilliantly last time. So I'm looking forward to see how it ends up going. We will get to the against the spread picks. Let's kick it off with some daily fantasy sports talk right away. Do you mind if I start with my stack of the week?
Go for it.
Sounds good. So if you're new to the podcast, I do a stack of the week every time when we talk about daily fantasy sports. And sometimes my stack is a bargain stack. Sometimes it ends up being a bargain and an expensive guy on a stack from the same team. And sometimes it ends up being an expensive stack. And then I find bargains the rest of the way throughout my lineup. Well, this week, I'm going to teach you how to craft a lineup when you have an expensive stack. So with that being said, my expensive stack of this week is the Steelers' Big Ben and Antonio Brown. Big Ben's 8,400, AB is 9,000. And we're talking about FanDuel when we talk about these prices in case it's confusing. But they play the Falcons. Against Baltimore, Ben Roethlisberger scored 16 fantasy points. The 2 games before that, he played against the 32nd and 31st ranked pass defenses and put up 40 and 25 points in each of those games. Now he's got the Falcons. They're 25th in pass defense. Most importantly, we're talking about Big Ben and we're talking about a home game. So you can't get much better than that. Every year,
that was going to be my...
Yeah, every year you know that he has a few huge games. I'm predicting this will be one of those huge, big games, and this is why I'm stacking him with Antonio Brown. And the thing about Antonio Brown is this entire year, he's just been consistent. He hasn't had that huge breakout game yet. This is the week where he has his breakout game. And the best thing, even if he doesn't have an awesome monster breakout, this is a high ceiling guy. His worst game this entire year is still 11 fantasy points. So he's going to be just fine. So I'm going expensive stack, AB and Ben Roethlisberger, and then I'm going to show you how I can craft a lineup and make it an actual good lineup still, despite spending that much on those 2 players.
I don't know about that. I still don't trust Ben Roethlisberger right now without Le'Veon Bell, even at this bad defense. I just don't trust him to be worth that much with Antonio Brown at this point without Le'Veon Bell till week 8 now. Thank God.
And I'll say fantasy owners rejoice with that news that Le'Veon Bell's going to end up coming back, hopefully at some point. But
yeah.
I don't know, man. You know it. Roethlisberger has those games, a couple a year where he'll throw 4 or 5 touchdowns. I think this is going to be one of those games. It's at home. Probably most importantly, it's against the Falcons, who are just giving up tons of yards, tons of touchdowns right now. This is the coming out party for AB. I'm stacking those 2.
I usually have Le'Veon in those games. All right, I've got a bunch of bargains today, so I'm going to start off with the quarterback. I'm going with my boy, the BOAT. Blake Bortles catches 7,000 at Kansas City. I'm going to talk about Kansas City again later and the Jags probably a few times tonight. So this will just be the start of it. But the Chiefs, everybody knows they're the worst against the pass, against receivers. They're just one of the worst in the league. I think they're 31st in the league at this point. So you got Blake Bortles, who's picking apart bad teams like the Patriots. And I can't even. I'm blanking on who he just destroyed this last week. And he gets to play against another bad defense that's potentially going to put up a lot of points where he's going to have to be throwing. Doesn't have Fournette, so he'll be dumping it off to T.J. Yeldon. I love Blake Bortles this week. Only $7,000 at the worst secondary in the league.
Yeah, that's not bad. I wanted to talk about another quarterback in this matchup because Patrick Mahomes is $8,600. He is the most expensive quarterback on the main slate of games for FanDuel this week. It only took him 4 starts this year to jump Rodgers, jump Ben Roethlisberger, all these guys, Matt Ryan. He's now the most expensive. But despite the fact that he's averaging nearly 30 fantasy points per game right now in FanDuel, he's a must-sit this week, right? Like, you can't even use him. Why did FanDuel make him the most expensive this week?
I don't know. I'll talk about it.
Oh, your tease segment, huh?
Yep.
All right, well, let's hear about your running back.
All right, this week, my running back, I am taking Mr. Aaron Jones for the Green Bay Packers, $6,100 at Detroit. Detroit is literally the worst in the league in rushing yards given up. They are 32nd. Aaron Jones has now shown in back-to-back games he is the best running back on this team. It's not even close. He's averaging like 6 yards a carry. Jamal Williams can't break tackles. Aaron Jones is always on his feet. Really, it should feel like it should be more Aaron Jones, Ty Montgomery giving him a breather, Jamal Williams coming in maybe to block every now and then. But it's clear Aaron Jones. Mike McCarthy has to listen to his boss, Aaron Rodgers, who wants Jones on the field. I love it when they fight because now at this point, Rodgers is the highest. I mean, he's getting paid more than Mike McCarthy, is he not? So he's the coach. He makes decisions. He's the moneymaker. It's time for them to start winning. Aaron Jones against this terrible run defense, he's going to eat.
What was his price tag?
$6,100.
Wow. Yeah, see, I don't mind that. And the thing is, too, like, if he gets a touchdown, he almost warrants it because you know he's going to get some yards on top of that as well.
And he catches the ball. He played wide receiver in high school and catches the ball in the backfield, which people think that Jamal Williams is a better receiver. He's not even close to a better receiver than Aaron Jones is.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Like I had kind of led on to in my first thing, like a lot of my plays now are going to be bargain guys from here on out just because of like how you can – you'll be amazed with some of these guys that you can throw in despite a lot of expensive guys. And I like Aaron Jones' play at 6,100. But the first guy I want to talk about, I'll give you 2 running backs right away. Marshawn Lynch is 6,500. T.J. Yeldon is 6,600. Okay, so going back to fantasy drafts, I was pissed. I'm in a keeper league where you have no one to pick for him. I had to take Marshawn Lynch in the first round of this league. I was pissed. But he's been solid. He's had either 100 yards or a touchdown in every single game. 12 fantasy points is his lowest output this entire year, and that was week 1 against the Rams. And the Rams, obviously, as we know, have a great defense. But he's been around like 14 to 17 fantasy points per game right now. Chargers are only 17th versus the run. Lynch is going to be the guy that gets the carries. So I like him. And then you look at T.J. Yeldon. He is the ultimate example right now of taking advantage of an injury opportunity because not only does he not have to deal with Leonard Fournette this week, he gets the Chiefs, who are last defensively in fantasy points allowed and 28th against the run alone. He's gotten double-digit touchdowns every single game, 3 touchdowns in 4 games, and he's also had back-to-back games now with over 40 receiving yards. So I didn't imagine saying this, but we've talked a lot about the Jaguars and the Chiefs game so far. That might be the game of the week. We've got the best offense right now, or one of the best offenses, against arguably the best defense. And then we've seen the Jags offense be able to put some points up against some weaker defense as well. And that's exactly what the Chiefs are. Week 5, KC versus Jacksonville is the game of the week. I never thought I'd say that.
I mean, it's at this point, it's just play everybody against the Chiefs. At this point, essentially, you and I in the last 2 sentences or conversations or whatever the fuck just happened has said that the Chiefs are the worst defense in the league. So with their offense and the combination of the defense, it's like play everybody on their team and play everybody against them. But I'm going to go against that. I'm telling you right now.
Okay, you got a receiver picked out?
What?
You have a receiver picked out?
I do. On to the receivers.
On to the receivers.
All right, my bargain wide receiver. I got 2 technically because another one's going to be a flex, but I'll get to the second guy in a second. Bargain wide receiver is Corey Davis, 6,400. All my guys are on the road. at Buffalo. Now, I know he dominated last week, but that doesn't scare me. Like, I'm not falling into he dominated, and I'm just on that trade. I just think that was the start of something. I said this on Sunday. I thought that was the start of, like, we're going to look back. This is a breakout game where he just starts to go off. And with Mariota, he's just been a target monster. When Mariota's been out there, he's been looking for Corey Davis, 161 yards or something like that in a touchdown last week.
Mm-hmm.
I predict he will get his second and third touchdown this week while eclipsing 100 yards again. And he's going to have tons of targets with 9 or 10 catches once again, which gives you, 5 points just per reception in FanDuel. Take it.
And he was what, like $6,300?
64, yeah.
64? Yeah, that's not bad. I actually had him on a list of bargains that I'm considering. Do you have any other receivers you wanted to chat about right away?
It doesn't have to be right away. You can go on yours.
Okay. Because the first one I wanted to talk about was Tyler Boyd. He's $6,300 versus the Dolphins. Guess which Bengals wide receiver has the most fantasy points over the last 3 weeks? DJ.
AJ Green.
No. It's actually Boyd, and that includes Green, even though he had that 3 touchdown performance against the Ravens a few Sundays back. Was that a Thursday night game? Yeah. But Boyd has a touchdown in 2 of the 4 games this year. He had 11 catches on 15 targets last week against the Falcons. Remember my stack of the week, Roethlisberger AB, playing the Falcons, another team that we're going to talk a lot about. Now he's got the Dolphins. Dolphins are only 26th against the pass. You know Xavier Howard's going to be busy with A.J. Green. Bobby McCain just got hurt last week. He's going to be out multiple weeks. The Dolphins are down to Torrey McTyer and Cordray Tankersley on the other side.
That's not a name.
Yeah, they have done
Torrey
zero.
McTyer?
Torrey McTyer.
Retire.
MC capital T-Y-E-R. So it's not like a good year, but it's close enough.
That's bullshit.
I hate to say it, but this is a good week to start some Bengals. So if you don't mind, why I was asking you, because I want to jump right into tight end as well, because I'm not opposed to we'll come back, but I'm not opposed to using a guy like Boyd and Tyler Kroft at tight end, because he's only $4,500. You're now without Tyler Eifert. And it's not like Tyler Kroft is just jumping into this team and the situation like all new. Last year when they didn't have Tyler Eifert, he still scored 7 touchdowns. It's a huge bargain at only $4,500. It's going to allow you to play some expensive guys like that stack that I was talking about. So this is just another way, I'm telling you, how you can craft your lineup. And some people don't really like using a receiver and a tight end from the same team. If there was a week to do it, and there's some bargain guys to do it with, it's the Bengals this week.
I think the counterpoint to your tight end 7 touchdowns last year is that now John Ross, Tyler Boyd, and A.J. Green are all playing, where last year it was essentially A.J. Green and then nobody else.
Yeah, Boyd didn't do anything last year.
Yeah, so it was essentially A.J. Green and the tight end and a crappy offense. So that's my counterpoint to that. Don't really like tight ends, though.
Yeah, you don't do tight ends anyways. So did you have another receiver or flex you wanted to get into?
Flex position is a receiver. I have Keelan Cole, who I guess technically is a stack again. So my goal here was to go and find somebody today under 6,000. I did it. Keelan Cole, 5,700 at Kansas City.
Wow.
I know D.D. Westbrook was the big winner of last week, but it's time for Keelan Cole to make his presence known once again. I think in week 2 he scored 20-something points against the Patriots. That's the same thing he's going to do against this terrible Kansas City. He's going to reap the rewards of playing against a very poor Chiefs defense. It's just what's going to happen, and I think he's going to be the beneficiary, the biggest. They're all going to be beneficiaries, but I think he's going to be the biggest beneficiary this week.
Yeah, and for
a couple down weeks.
And for that price, I feel like the Jaguars receivers just in general are pretty like inexpensive. So it's like, yeah, you might as well throw one in and pick one of the cheapest ones because you're going to have all this money left over. And like you said, like it's if you're playing based on matchups and how things you think are going to play out and should play out. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be points scored in that game, like. And I just have a feel like the Jaguars. I mean, I have Yeldon as like a bargain play, but Yeldon has got a ceiling at a certain point. You know, Yeldon's not going to be like a Leonard Fournette, like a 3 touchdown kind of guy. He might get a touchdown, he might get 100 total yards, and that's good at his price. But you know, Bortles is going to throw the ball in this game, and you know that's why Keelan Cole's going to get some looks. So I don't mind that at all.
Big time.
So I want to jump back to receiver real quick, just because
Sorry.
like I said, the way I was crafting my lineup, I wanted to make sure it worked out money wise, having that many expensive guys. But the way the money works, you can still use Christian McCaffrey in this hypothetical lineup. You can use McCaffrey in your flex play, which is great because I think he was $8,100. So he's still an expensive guy, but he's coming off of a bye week. He just proved 2 weeks ago that he can get it done on the ground. The Giants struggle against the run, and you know that Christian McCaffrey is going to be involved in the passing game. And in a thing like FanDuel where it's half PPR, I think using a guy that's going to get catches in your flex is like the way to go for that. So you can still use Christian McCaffrey in your flex. And then the way that the money sorted out for receivers, you can basically take any receiver that was $6,800 or less. And people on that list, Calvin Ridley, Cooper Kupp, Emmanuel Sanders, Marvin Jones, and Corey Davis. So one of the guys that I know you like, I would probably go with Kupp in that situation. They play Seattle, I believe. But I would legit be comfortable with any of those guys. And that's like an entire lineup that you can use.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there and show how you can actually like put a lineup together with CMC, with AB, with Big Ben, and still make it like, wow, I actually have a legit chance with this lineup.
How much money have you won in FanDuel this year?
How much? I'm like even.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you want to know why?
Why?
Because I won $100 and then I got into a $100 head-to-head contest because I'm a big baller. I'm like LeVar Ball. Undefeated. Never lost.
I won $500 once, so suck it.
Yeah, consider it sucked.
We're talking big like we know everything about FanDuel.
Right. Do you have any other FanDuel bargain plays or anyone else you want to talk about?
No, I'm ready to move on to my specialty.
All right, beautiful. Well, right before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about Pristine Auction real quick because they've got daily auctions packed with tons of stuff for the man cave. They guarantee their items. They all come with certificates of authenticity from only the trusted sources. It's affordable. Most people don't think you can afford it, but it's more affordable than you'd think. It's quick and free to register. It's free to bid. You only pay when you win. Make sure you mention the Loaded Box podcast in the How Did You Hear About Us section when you register. Head over to pristineauction.com. And with that, DJ, I am looking forward to seeing your picks because I kept telling you at some point, statistics even out. And to be profitable in gambling, you just got to hit above 53%. And right now you're crushing that because year to date you are 11-1 overall, plus 32 units. Last week you went 2-1 plus 4 units. I went 1-2. But I did finish up units. I finished a +1. Year to date I'm 5-7 minus 5 units. So you are running away with this competition right now.
It's not even a competition. I'm playing against myself at this point. You're just there. You're just there to watch get a front row seat to this beautiful show that I'm putting on for everybody.
All right. So I don't like how you said that you think you're going to get at least 2 wins. Why aren't you just predicting an all-out 3-win week then?
Well, I'm guaranteed to. I'll probably get 3. But I feel really good about 2 of them. I feel good about 3 of them, but I always get scared because I'm doing an over/under, which I don't normally dabble in. So I'm getting into it, but I feel good about it.
Nice. Well, let's hear it. Kick it off. What's your first one?
All right. Let's start out down here. Let me scroll down. All right. We're going to start out. This is the first team. This team is who I'm fading. I've teased it a couple of times. The next 3 weeks, mark that down. I am fading the Chiefs. I'm fading the Kansas City Chiefs. They're playing the Jaguars. Jaguars are 3-point dogs going into Kansas City. This is my new trend, all right? Mahomes is going to regress. He's come out firing, but now he runs into a juggernaut of a defense with Jalen Ramsey, A.J. Bouye, just freaks, and Saxonville, all right? There's going to be more pressure than ever. He's going to be thrown off of his back foot, something he hasn't seen. It's going to make him start to see ghosts. Everybody's so high. FanDuel's moving out to 8,600. Over these next 3 weeks, you're gonna see guys like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, vault way ahead of them and show you why they're veterans who run the game, and why Mahomes is still a young guy. He's going to regress back to that mean. He might have some decent plays and stuff like that, but it's not going to be anywhere close to what he's done. This is going to be like the Deshaun Watson effect. I do think he's better than Deshaun Watson. I do believe that he can kind of bounce back, but these next 3 weeks, I'm telling you right now, he's going to get phased. He's still a young guy. He's pretty much a rookie since it's his first year of actually starting and playing a full year. It's going to happen. Everybody's going to try to eat my lunch list. I guarantee you, I'm going to come back at you after you try to chirp me, the bet champion here, the freaking winner, trying to argue against me. This is going to happen. The Jaguars win this game straight up by double digits against the Chiefs. Lock it in. On the road.
You turned into the LeVar Ball of this podcast now after that. Like, you chirp at me, I'll chirp at you. I'll chirp at you.
Yeah.
I guess if I had to pick a side on that one, I would be on the same side as you. But, man, I'm more of a believer in Pat Mahomes I'm going to call it year one, even though it's year two for him in the NFL, but I'm calling it year one. I'm more of a fan of him, and he's doing better than I thought he would do at this point. I was not even expecting this, but I was expecting good things from him in year two as the starter. He's just kind of elevated up higher than what I thought. But yeah, that Jacksonville defense is so much more next level in a lot of the teams that he's been playing against. So yeah, if I had to pick a side, I'd probably go with where you are on that one, but I'm chalking it up as a no play. No play for me.
I mean, and it's all fun and games to watch him come out and tear it up, but again, like I said, guys like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady are going to be the ones laughing when they're like, "Oh, this is the hype." It's just going to go back to Rodgers, Brady, those experienced guys.
Ben Roethlisberger.
Just outplaying. No, I'm not going to say him. Outplaying Mahomes when it comes down to the end of the season, and it's going to be normal Rodgers at the top, Brady right in there, just like you see Blake Bortles at number 7, just the standard.
All right, so you went into this. Well, I asked you right away when we first started how comfortable and how confident you felt.
3 units, by the way, sorry.
3 units for that. So you were feeling pretty good about this week is what you said.
Yeah.
All right, so I looked at the schedule and the lines, and I hated it. I did not like this week. I don't have a lot of confidence in my picks this week, and it's and it's not that I don't like. I'm still gonna bet them. I mean, I'm still a degenerate enough to throw a little cash on them, but my unit plays are down, as you'll see. So I'm kicking it off with my most confident play, which is only a 2-unit play, and it's the over in the Packers-Lions game. The line when I saw it was at 50.5. One of the more shocking things so far this year is that the Packers are only averaging 23 points per game. I know that they shut out the Bills last week, but you talked about it. Rodgers isn't happy. I'm expecting a breakout week from this Packers offense. Detroit, you said Patricia put all his eggs in that basket. They only allowed 10 points to New England. But the other 3 weeks, they've allowed 48, 30, and 26 points. And Green Bay, before that shutout week, has allowed at least 20 in all their games before that. So I'm not putting a ton of stock in that last week's game against the Bills. I don't like Josh Allen. I don't like the Bills' offense. I think Stafford and the Lions' offense will score in this one. Overs are 3-1 for both of these teams this year. It's inside at Detroit. It's a fast track. It's my biggest play. It's only 2 units, but I'm going to take the over in this one.
Rodgers loves playing on the road. So I'm going to go straight into the Packers after that pick.
Fair
because
enough.
You picked the over.
Yep.
I'm taking the Packers since I took them last week. I don't like to jinx them, but screw it. This is the train I'm going to ride right now.
2 in a row.
Rodgers, Packers -1.5 at Detroit. I'm taking this for 4 units. I'm really confident. I almost did 5.
I almost spit my beer out.
4 units, -1.5. Rodgers loves playing inside. He loves playing inside domes. He called out McCarthy. He does this all the time. When he does that, it's when he starts killing people. Like, this is when he's upset about that last game. They come out, they put up 50 this week, so you're probably going to hit the over with Rodgers alone. I'm guaranteeing sodomy here, a butt raping of the Detroit Lions. Bend those guys over, send them, tuck their Detroit Lion tails between their legs, send them to their dens, down in their basements, and put them to sleep because they're going to be done. They're already done. They win this game. Again, this is another double-digit win I'm going to get for you guys. Easy. Like, put all your money on this game and that Jaguars-Chiefs game. Lock that in. But if you do want a wide receiver, another guy, for FanDuel, or if you're just debating him in your lineup, I do like Kenny Golladay. I think that he's the kind of guy that he's that sneaky third wide receiver who has a lot of athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
It might be the best wide receiver on this team, actually. that the Packers won't be focusing on, and I think that's where they're going to struggle is against his length and his athleticism. So I can see him scoring a touchdown, putting up like 100 yards, but it won't matter because they'll be so far and gone away that they'll win this by a ton. But I do like Kenny Golladay this week, so that's one guy I would highly consider playing this week.
Good, because I have him in way too many leagues. I'm hoping he does well. One side question I'll ask you on that game, because it relates to both of our scenarios here, is the one thing I thought about was, do the Lions maybe potentially try to change up their game plan a little bit here? It sounded like Patricia got called out a little bit because Kerryon Johnson in that last game was effective, but I think he only ended up having like 20 snaps. So do you think he takes that to heart a little bit and says, all right, maybe I need to change my philosophy up a little bit. Maybe they run the ball. Maybe they try to control the clock a little bit, and it's not as high scoring as I think. Do you have any fear about that, or do you think the Lions may try to implement that, or are they just going to turn back to, we're the Lions, it's a track meet with Aaron Rodgers, we need to go all out and try to win this the old way?
I prefer that they run it more because the Lions are played better against us when they are throwing it because of how our secondary is played. So if they want to run it more, I welcome it because I think we're way better up front stopping that run. I know we don't have Muhammad Wilkerson anymore, but we still have Kenny Clark and Mike Daniels, who are literally two of the top run defenders in the league, with Big Martinez, who led the league in tackles last year.
Yep.
They have some guys up there against an offensive line that still isn't that great of a run blocking offensive line. They do have my boy TJ Lang. I wish we still had him because we're struggling at that right guard position. But I would love it if they ran the ball more because that would just help out Green Bay because I think that would put them in more third and long positions. I get more scared when they get out there and start chucking it around.
Such a 4-unit play for you, huh?
That's a 4-unit play easy. I should have gone 5.
I love it because you're always like, preseason, it was like, I never bet on the Packers, never doing it.
That doesn't usually work out, but I won last week.
I know. I say not only are you now doing it 2 weeks in a row, but you're throwing the second to most units that we can possibly do on it. So
I'm hoping it's good luck.
Hats off to you if you can do it, man. You got big balls.
Superstitious. Had to turn it.
Yeah. All right, so that was your second one. My second one here, it's only a 1-unit play. It's the Los Angeles Rams, favored by 7 over Seattle. Going into the season, I thought you'd be able to throw on them, not run on them. But if you look at them, they are 16th in rushing, and I take that back. I thought Seattle would be able to throw the ball only. I didn't think that they would really be able to run. They're actually 16th in rushing. They're only 29th in passing yards per game right now. Bad news for Seattle. I got bad news for you. Rams are 6th versus the run, and while they can be beat a little bit by the pass, they're still 15th. And you know that Seattle's offensive line struggles to protect, and you know that they're going to get welcomed by Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald. So
this is funny.
Not a huge fan about that. Seattle's strength on defense has been their pass D. Now they have no Earl Thomas, and I'm not sure if that matters because the Rams are second in the league in passing offense. Who the hell do you take away? You have Cooper Kupp, who's just dominating. Like I can't even bench him anymore in this league. I have a ton of wide receivers. I need to find a space for him now in this league because he's dominating. You've got your boy Robert Woods, who's dominating. You got Brandon.
I have him in that same league where I have too many wide receivers.
Exactly, and then you got Brandon Cooks, who's like the most targeted of all of them, and finally had a touchdown last week, but it didn't matter. He was still putting up like 15 fantasy points per game. So even if you find a way to slow one of those guys down, Todd Gurley's second in the league in rushing yards, and he's third in the league in rushing touchdowns. I'd be a little bit nervous taking the road team in a division game, but these two are like polar opposites of what they used to be over the last 5 years. Rams are 3-0-1 against the spread. Seattle's just 1-2-1 against the spread. Hopefully there's no hook. I want it at 7. I don't like it at 7.5, but I like the Rams with a 1-unit play.
So this is cute because I took the Packers and Detroit spread. You took the over/under. Now you took what was the spread in that game?
Oh, it's Rams by 7.
So you took the Rams-Seahawks spread, 7. I'm taking the Rams at Seahawks over.
Nice.
Same amount of points that you did as well, of 50.5 in that game. The Rams are going to score. This defense, the Seahawks defense, I mean, they're not the Vikings defense. The Rams are going to score. They have too good of a coach. It makes me angry because I have to sit here and watch fucking McCarthy just stink all the time when he's got the best quarterback in the league. too good of a coach, too good of a scheme, too many good players to not score constantly. I mean, they're going to score, I think, 30 points. They're going to probably average like 30 points a game. I really believe that they could do that. But I think Seattle is going to find ways to score at home here. Russell, he's got Doug Baldwin back, so he'll get that guy back. Got a couple of good tight ends. Tyler Lockett is streaking. I don't really think that the Rams secondary is that great. I'm a little more worried with a couple of injuries. Sam Shields has the tendency to get beat at this point, and I've seen him get beat, and they highlighted him a lot in the primetime game, and he had some good makeup speed, but he was struggling to get hands on a guy. So I think he could struggle with some guys like Tyler Lockett. He could get beat deep. I could see this game getting into the 60s. I mean, at 50 and a half. I think this goes over just because I do have faith that Russell Wilson will bounce back a little bit. He's one of those guys that has been showing that he can do it over and over again. So I think he's going to be airing it out and not really running with Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh up front.
Yeah.
He's going to – their pass rush is where they struggle as well. The Rams' pass rush has been, for the most part, off the edge, their weakest point of attack, even though they kind of messed around with Suh and Donald and threw them at the edge, which worked a couple of times. But
yeah.
I'm favoring Russell to score. I'm hoping he puts up at least 20 points in this game. If he puts up 20, this goes over.
Oh, yeah. See, that's the nice thing about this is even if Seattle scores, like, I like your overplay in this one. I really do, because even if Seattle does score.
1 unit.
That's all you're doing?
I just jumped in. Yeah, I'm not confident, though.
Oh, 1 unit? Okay.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, though, even if Seattle scores, we saw it last week. The Rams gave up a ton of points and yards to the Vikings. Guess what? Yeah. They still won by 7. And I'm pretty confident that the Vikings are better than Seattle. So even if they give up all these points, I'm still not too worried about that big of a spread. I usually try to find point spreads like under that touchdown, but in this case, I'm just not quite as nervous as I typically would be because the Rams are a top 3 offense in the league. Like, it just doesn't really faze me as much.
Winners.
Winner, chicken dinner. I got 1 pick left, and hopefully it's a winner, but it's only going to be a 1-unit winner if I win it. It's the Tennessee Titans -3.5 at Buffalo.
Yeah.
It's honestly impressive how bad the Buffalo Bills are on both offense and defense. Okay, so they had that blowout win over Minnesota a couple weeks ago, right?
Shit on them.
They're still last in passing yards per game with 133 per game. That literally could be 2 completions in an NFL game. Think about that. That's all they average per game. That's unbelievable. They're 24th in rushing yards. And defense, I mean, they're respectable. They're 11th against the run. They're 17th against the pass.
Yep.
We thought going into this season, and I still think that Tennessee should be good running the ball. They're just not. It's not their strength. We've actually seen them at their best through the air right now, and Mariota went for over 300 yards last week against the Eagles. Did not see that coming. It's hard to imagine Buffalo performing as bad as they did last week, but Tennessee's defense has been better than what I really expected them to be. Somehow Tennessee is 3-1 straight up. They're 3-1 against the spread. Buffalo, they have that 1 win against the Vikings, and they're only 1-3 against the spread. I hate the hook on the road here for the 3.5. That's what's making it a 1-unit play. If it was 2.5 or 3, I'd bump it up to a 2 or 3 unit. On the road, the hook scares me a little bit, so I'm keeping it a 1 unit.
I just don't trust the Titans enough to go ahead and bet on them in a game that they're only favored by 3.5 against the crappy Bills. That just scares me. I'm just scared of that. I just prefer not to lose on teams that I'm just not confident in.
I hear you, but man, they average 133 pass yards per game. 2 completions.
Both teams, though. I'm just not. It's like one shitty team. I am more confident in the Bills because I know how bad they are than I am in the Titans because I have no idea what they are.
Titans are a bit of a wild card. Well,
does that make sense?
When you look at them, are they a 3-1 team? I don't think that they should be, but they are somehow. And they're 3-1 against the spread, so they're getting it done. But it's like, yeah, I get why there's a little lack of confidence. It's only a 1-unit play. I'm just dangling it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Dolphins are also 3-1. I don't believe in them at all.
I don't want to talk about the Dolphins. I wanted to have a Dolphins-less podcast.
I just did. We talked about teams we don't believe in at 3-1. They're a team that I think is actually bad.
Suck it. Let's do some fantasy football listener questions.
All right.
All right. I think I know your answer to this one. We got Blake Bortles versus the Chiefs or the Baker Mayfield versus the Ravens.
I mean, this is Bortles, easy. I mean, Mayfield's not ready yet. He's throwing some picks and turning the ball over against a poor Oakland defense. I don't know. I think the Ravens have their way with him. Bortles, easy.
Yeah,
not even close.
I'm going Bortles in this one, too. Before that Monday night game that the Chiefs just played in, they were allowing 39 points per game. I think the Ravens will do some things defensively that are going to frustrate Mayfield. I literally think it's a good week to start like your fringe Brown players. I had talked about trying to find a way to get like Galladay and Cooper Kupp, and I've got like Julio, so I'm obviously playing him. But if you're trying to find a way to get a guy into your lineup and you have a guy like Jarvis Landry, I think this might be a good week to sit him. Like I'm legit start thinking about sitting my fringe Browns players. That'd be my advice for this week. But yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm gonna go Blake Bortles.
Then the Snake Morgan.
Always. Let's do another one here. All right, this is not start sit. This is a hypothetical. I was offered Calvin Ridley and Mike Williams for Leonard Fournette. Should I do it?
Is this you, actually, or somebody asking us this?
Someone asked.
Oh, yes. I am just so frustrated with Leonard Fournette at this point. The way Calvin Ridley's playing, and I love Mike Williams. I know he's probably going to have up and down games, but you'll be able to plug and play him. Leonard Fournette, you just don't know if you're even going to be able to play him, right? So, yeah, fuck him. You can go and pick up TJ Yeldon and have a guy who's probably going to start 12 games. I love Leonard Fournette, but I'm pissed at him right now. He's going to be my Isaiah Crowell from last year.
Right. No, I'm with you on this one. I mean, I took Leonard Fournette like 5 or 6 overall in a league, so it's really frustrating this. But coming back from a hamstring, okay, we just saw him come back, and you plug him into the lineup. And what happened? He got hurt again. So
in 2 more weeks, probably, at least.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So let's say he misses 2 or 3 more weeks, and then you plug him back in, and how long is he going to last until that hamstring goes again?
Other hamstring's gone then.
Yeah, exactly. At this point, you can cut ties with him, and I get that you're probably buying Calvin Ridley.
I'm hanging on, but
you're probably buying Calvin Ridley at his highest point, so it might not be like the smartest thing to do. But man, he's becoming more and more consistent. Mike Williams is, I don't know. I don't know if he's a guy that you want to start every single week, but I mean, you've had him, and you've had some good success with him. He had a game a couple weeks ago where he had 2 touchdowns.
I think he's going to score the 8 to 10 touchdowns that I predicted this year.
Yeah, I mean, when you get a couple in a game, you're pretty damn close to being able to do that. So yeah, so it seems crazy. I mean, you think pre-draft, you're like, okay, would I want Calvin Ridley and Mike Williams, or would I want Leonard Fournette? You're like, well, that's not even a question. But at this point in the year, it's like, how long do you hang on? When do you cut the ties? If someone offered it to you, like you said, depending on how deep you are at running back, pick up TJ Yeldon. Like, he's going to be the guy for at least the next couple of weeks, and then who knows how long after that. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'd pull the trigger on the trade.
How come you don't think Julio can score touchdowns? Like, how come he's not allowed to score touchdowns in that offense? Like, is he grounded from the end zone? Like, what did he do
he did something.
To deserve? He gets 1,000 yards, but never gets a touchdown. Like, he's probably going to have like 2,000 yards receiving this year, but he doesn't get touchdowns.
Another 170. What was the stat? Like, over the last 3 games, Julio Jones has 4 touchdowns, and over the last 2 games, he's got 4 touchdowns, and over the last season plus, Julio has like 3.
Yeah. Kelvin has, yes.
Yeah.
Kelvin for Julio in your sentence, but correct.
Oh, there you go. Thanks for the correction. You get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you're struggling these last 2. Are you still hungover from Oktoberfest on Saturday?
I must have been. I had to have Busch Light.
Oh, you're supposed to drink those 2 beers you have at the same time. Ben, we had to do 2 takes at the beginning of this, so he had to do a second beer. I was hoping he would dump both in his mouth at one time and just rip his shirt off or something.
If I could have only gotten into fake wrestling more as my youth, I'd have done it just for like the nostalgia of it, but too late. All right, you ready to wrap her up?
Sure, you can go watch this. The game is actually in the 3rd inning, so it's perfect.
Boom, called it. All right, well, thanks again for listening. As always, follow us on Twitter at LoadedBox. Check out loadedboxpodcast.com for all of our podcasts and our blogs. We've been pumping out like 1 a day, so it's been pretty sweet. You should check them out. They're all pretty good NFL and fantasy football content. We'll be back Sunday evening with our Week 5 Instant Reactions episode, and we're available on iTunes by searching Loaded Box, so make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. DJ, send us away.
You like winning. You like winners. You should come to me while I'm still free. Bye.
Undefeated, never lost.